When I first started up my company, I had a ton of energy and excitement, and I was like over the top. I was going to create this amazing marketing company. And I soon realized that it's really hard work, that it took more time and more money and more effort than I ever imagined possible. And that it was also very, very lonely because you didn't have all the answers to everything. I thought I did. I thought I could possibly just get everything done simply because I wanted to get it done. And what I learned is that at the startup phase of a business, you likely are in over your head. When I started my business, I had a ton of passion and energy and drive, and I figured that was enough. I think like most entrepreneurs, I said, you know what, I can do this because I just really want to. And what I learned very quickly was, in fact, there was a lot of stuff I didn't know. I didn't have enough time, money, resources, help. I was kind of over my head, and I also felt very alone. Who did I turn to? I didn't have anybody to turn to. And frankly, I didn't want to admit that I didn't have all the answers either, because heaven forbid that I had to say I didn't know what I was doing. What I learned is the best advice to give a startup is to go get advice. Every single entrepreneur or small business owner that's out there is driven for a reason. There's something that motivates you to do what you're doing. For some it's money, for some it's passion, for some it's people. You have to figure out exactly what's motivating you, and once you understand that, then you can drive forward. A lot of Fortune 500 companies didn't have a business plan. But you know what my view on a plan is? You need to have one that's strong enough to hold together and loose enough to be flexible to change on the fly. Very early in the startup of my business, when I was really struggling with the financial implications of growth, a great friend said to me that I should hire a business advisor who was a financial advisor. And that financial advisor, I thought, was way too expensive to afford and somebody that probably was bigger than my company needed. The truth was, he's exactly what I needed. He gave me great advice. He knew what the next steps were going to be. He was able to steer me clear of making the mistakes that I frankly would have made without him. When I first started my business, I was growing, it was successful, I thought. I didn't really believe I needed to understand everything there was to know about understanding a balance sheet. Why? Because I had an accountant who did that for me. Wrong, wrong, wrong. You need to know the ins and outs of a balance sheet as well as they do. You need to know what working capital is, what a debt to equity ratio means, and what a P&L looks like and should look like. Get help. Best advice I'll ever give you. Go get great financial help. On Dragon's Den, I have seen close to 2,000 entrepreneurial startup companies come before us. They all have one thing in common. They all need cash. Okay, that's one aspect of it, but many of them are lacking any sort of vision. Many of them are lacking any ability to articulate what makes them different. Many of them don't know how to talk in a way that helps you understand why you should believe in them. At the end of the day, I'm buying into the person as much as anything. The money is important, but it's not the most important thing. Is it hard to get money as a startup? Yes. There's no skirting around that. It's going to be difficult. But there are places and ways to do it in a way that's going to make it a little bit easier for you. So here's my advice. Go to family and friends. Go to angel investor networks. And if you have a great plan, there are some banks that are now starting to loosen their purse strings and invest in startups. And how cool is that? All right, what's my advice to you as a startup? What is it that you need? Well, you're going to need twice as much cash, twice as many hours in the day as there are, and twice as much energy. Now, if you have all that, and then you still continue to work your butt off, you can be a success.